Welcome in and welcome back. We are here with episode 12 of Ask Adrian Anything, and today's episode is a question from, it's not a question, it's a prompt. Cameron is a pushy little bastard. At least I assume it's a he. Maybe it's a pushy little she bastard named Cameron, though I doubt there are too terribly many of those. Prompts, where is it here? Now I lost the prompt. It's an easy one. Top 10 superhero movies of all time. Go. Cameron, you pushy little bastard. I enjoy under-promising and over-delivering, so I'm going to start at a slightly different place than what you are insisting. Number one, babe, it's only slightly below average. Number two, I'm going to give you a top 15. After that, besides that, before that, probably I should say, I'm going to give you a list of movies that might be surprisingly not on the list. They're definitely not on the list. It might be surprising that they aren't. Those movies are Captain America Civil War. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it got a little convoluted, and I thought that it was bloated in more ways than one. So it is not on my top 15. Next is Unbreakable. Now, Unbreakable is not on this list because technically it is not exactly a comic book movie. It is a movie about comic books. It is a movie about the mythos and the ethos behind comic books. Though for a very long time, this was my favorite movie of all time. It is a wonderful movie coming to us from M. Night Shyamalan. So if you have not seen Unbreakable, it is definitely more than worth your time. It's a little slow, but if you are... Many of the people here followed me here from Strip Cover Lit, where I talk about books, where I talk about literature. If you like that sort of thing, you're going to love. You're going to love Unbreakable. Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis. You've got to see it. Also, not on the list is V for Vendetta. Technically, Cameron, the pushy little bastard that he is, prompted superhero movies, not comic book movies. And I'm not sure V would necessarily categorize himself as a superhero. So I'm not going to either. And it has been a long time since I've seen this movie. It might crack the top 15, maybe even the top 10, if it is as good as I remember. But it's probably been 15 years since I've seen this movie. Also, there are no Superman films on this movie. I am not a fan of the Henry Cavill Superman films. Henry Cavill is decent as Superman. He's a bit of a cardboard cutout. But besides that, he certainly looks the part, right? He certainly embodies the role, but how much does that count? Also, the original films, the Christopher Reeves films, they are not my cup of tea. And I don't say that because they're old or because they're outdated or XYZ, whatever. Even when I was a kid, I didn't like them. They never really found a place for me. And this is my list, not yours, you son of a bitch. Back off. Also, not on the list, any of the original X-Men films. As far as having an impact on me, the very first X-Men film would probably crack a top 10 as far as comic book movies that made a dent in Adrian's life, because since I was 5, I think I was reading comic books. Might have even been 4, but I wouldn't have been reading them then. I just would have known the characters. I've always been an X-Men fan, and part of the lore and mythos, it is hard to believe today. But people, I'm 34, about to be 35, so I expect birthday presents. I'm 34. People my age and older, considering that first X-Men film came out, 2000, so my freshman year in high school. So people my age and older know that part of the big deal with the X-Men was the fact that there weren't any movies. It had been lore and mythos for so long, Hey man, they're going to make an X-Men film. Hey man, they're going to make an X-Men film. Hey man, you know who they cast as Wolverine? Huh? Do you? For so long, that was the thing. There were so many so there used to be a magazine called Toy Fair, and they would have fan casts of different movies. I can't tell you how many times X-Men was fan cast. I can't tell you how long I thought Danzig was going to play Wolverine. So all of those things, none of the original X-Men films make this list. So at number 17 of the top 15, top 10 comic book movies, superhero movies, of all time is 2015's Ant-Man. Why? It is so goddamn impressive. That this movie was as good as it was with all of the behind-the-scenes drama. Hashtag Paul Rudd is a diva. But all of the drama that happened before that. And B, it made Ant-Man cool. I mean, just take a minute to wrap your mind around that. I'm a comic book head from before I could read. Like, I knew all of the characters because my older brother had some of the old Secret Wars toys, right? One of the first gifts that I remember my brother giving me was that he had allegedly swindled another kid out of that was it 1991 Marvel cards from Upper Deck, I believe, that had the holograms in them and all of that sort. That was one of the first gifts I ever remember getting. And so I knew all of the characters. Ant-Man was never cool. Never. I mean, you're talking 2-3 steps below Aquaman. Okay? That level of uncool. And the fact that this movie made him cool, not only that, if you look at this pragmatically and you understand, just take a step back to examine this from a business sense. You made Ant-Man cool, which is awesome as far as having intellectual properties. B, you made Ant-Man profitable. You can sell Ant-Man merchandise. Who in the high hell saw that coming? Now, it has been recently announced, not recently, probably within the last year, that there will be an Ant-Man 3, much to the chagrin of one John Campea. I knew all along when Campea was saying that there was not going to be an Ant-Man 3, that there would be an Ant-Man 3. Why? Because through 2 movies, it was already a billion-dollar franchise. What you can do at that point, you're playing with house money. Use Ant-Man 3 to introduce anything that you damn well please. So, number 17, Ant-Man. Number 16, Guardians of the Galaxy from 2014. Along the same lines as Ant-Man, who knew this was possible? I had only a cursory knowledge of this merry band of assholes by the time before this movie came out. But golly, was it great, right? I don't think anyone can argue with the fact that this is an enjoyable movie. It is a good movie. It is a movie that captures the spirit of all the characters involved. And it might not be a home run. I didn't think there was a single weakness to this movie. There's a big heart-stopping I Am Groot ending. There is the dance-off with Quill that was very different. I'm not going to say that it was great, but it was different enough that you got to see something in a comic book movie different from what you had been seeing. And that was one of the great worries in 2014, was that Marvel, the MCU, was going to start playing things extremely safely. And they didn't. So you have to have kudos for that. Number 15, The Godfather, that comes to us from 1989, Batman, starring Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. This was a game changer. Now, if you were talking about making an impact on my life, this is probably the number one movie. 1989. I was 4 years old. I didn't see this movie in the theaters, but I definitely saw it upon home release, probably immediately. My older brother was a massive Michael Keaton fan. Jack Nicholson went very far in my household. So the moment that this was available to rent, we had it. And it was... So the visuals made such an impact on me that I was to this point was only familiar with Marvel characters through comic books and things like that. But this movie visually was so stunning that I garnered a lifelong love for the Batman character simply off the visuals. The Michael Keaton's performance is great for the movie. Christian Bale's still probably the greatest Bruce Wayne, but as far as I can tell, Michael Keaton is the second greatest Bruce Wayne, simply for the fact that you look at him and you think, yeah, no, that's a crazy son of a bitch. So that is magnificent. Number 14, Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man sucks, but Spider-Man Far From Home, look, from 2019, Spider-Man 2 is a better movie. Spider-Man Far From Home is a better Spider-Man movie. Tobey Maguire was 63 years old playing the role of Spider-Man as a 34-year-old. But the Spider-Man that we're getting today and the Spider-Man certainly that we got in Far From Home was much closer to the Spider-Man in the comics as far as, look, this is a kid that has kids' worries. This is a kid that wants to have a girlfriend. This is a kid that's trying to lead a double life. And yeah, he's super brilliant, but he's also awkward, so things are going to slip. Much in the way that Tom Holland gives things away about the Spider-Man scripts from time to time. And on top of that, the greatest comic book action scene is the Mysterio warehouse scene in this film. That is as close as I believe we might ever get to actually seeing something transcribed from a page to the screen. That was mind-blowing. Plus, Mysterio, Gyllenhaal did a hell of a job with that. Number 13, coming to us from 2019, Avengers Endgame. This is the granddaddy of... When I say granddaddy, I just mean this is the one that's going to be talked about for generations. The granddaddy of comic book movies. This is the big dog. It is not my favorite. It is not my favorite Avengers. It is not even my second favorite Avengers movie. Spoiler warning. But this is undoubtedly a solid entry with so many crowd-pleasing moments that it can't be left off a list like this. Number 12, from 2018, Deadpool 2. It's going to be the only Deadpool on the list. I like Deadpool 2 way more than I liked the first Deadpool. This is probably this is the only romance in all of comic book moviedom that I really enjoy. There are others I can respect. This romance is great. And while I do now have new expectations for International Women's Day, I like the sequel better because what it does is it allows us a complete view of a three-dimensional Deadpool, which I would argue makes the character better than he is in the comic books, which might be the only time that happens on this list. Might be the only time it happens. That might be the only time that happens in comic book movies. Not to be a hipster about it, but part of the reason is because comic book characters have been told and retold and retold and redrafted and retold so many times that in the comics they are so three-dimensional that they're probably back to being one-dimensional because they're all everything, so none of them are anything. But it allows you to be able to say, well, Deadpool really is, this is the strain of Deadpool stories that I really enjoy. The Deadpool 2 movie adds so much to Deadpool to make him three-dimensional. Plus, Colossus in this movie is every bit as... Look, that's Colossus from the comics. It really is. He just happens to be with the perfect character to contrast him in this series. On top of that, Cable, that is a great Cable. Probably as good a portrayal on the screen as one could ask for. And Domino, hubba hubba. Number 11, the only series on this list to have a double outside of the Avengers, which technically I would not count, is 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I really like the levels on which this movie plays. James Gunn, this is wonderful. This is a testament to his skill that he was able to play with the family dynamic in so many different realms in this movie, between the family dynamic of the team, the family dynamic of Quill meeting his father, what it means to have lost a mother, plus Missouri gets a little airtime, okay? Missouri boy. But the thing that really sold this movie for me and gets this so close to my top 10, Rocket Raccoon in this movie. Heart of my heart, soul of my soul. This is a character that is in this film so relatable. Number 10 from 2011, X-Men First Class. This is the greatest X-Men movie. It's just so well done. It really is so well done. And at the heart of that, well, part of the heart of that is the Professor X character is three-dimensional, not simply everybody's dad, everybody's well-intentioned grandfather. But Michael Fassbender's Magneto is so badass, so incredibly cool, so dangerous. And that's maybe the best part. Michael Fassbender in this movie is not just the anti-hero that Magneto always had been. Not always. Magneto starting in the mid-80s, I think. Magneto starting, mid-80s, I think. As a real anti-hero. Not only was Michael Fassbender perfect in that role, but he was played in this movie as a monster. Listen to his theme music. Listen to him when he speaks and introduces himself as Frankenstein. He's a monster in this movie, and he's meant to be. But he's cool, cold, and calculated as well. That bar scene is second to none in all of comic book movies. That scene where Michael Fassbender's Eric Magnus goes to that bar with those ex-Nazis is as finely crafted a scene as there is in all of comic book moviedom. And this movie includes the greatest cameo of all time. If you've not seen this movie, I'm not going to ruin it for you. It is not the best known of comic book movies, but the cameo in this movie, you'll know it when you see it. Can't say anything more. Number 9, Fight Me, Blade from 1998. There are some movies that are so bad they're good. Wesley Snipes and Blade is so good, it's bad. Okay? This movie has such a nostalgia, such a sheen of nostalgia for me that I cannot explain it. There was a 3-year stretch of my life probably where I must have watched this movie 100 times. There was a 2-year stretch of my life where it was probably 75 of those times. This movie is perfect for the level of serious camp. Actual camp. Sort of Dawn of the Dead type camp, if that makes any sense. A movie that takes itself seriously, but the characters are at times so over the top that their seriousness has to be laughed at. Wesley Snipes, if you were to cast fuck Mahershala Ali, give Wesley Snipes the role again, and I'll just accept it. I don't care. I don't care. You don't even have to de-age him. He looks pretty much the same. Just give him the role back, please. Please. Or make him Whistler. I wouldn't complain about that either. Number 8 coming to us also from 2017. From 2017. 1917 was before Batman and Superman were invented, so a good decade, I think, for either of them. Thor Ragnarok. This movie was just a blast from sun up to sun down. There is no bad scene in this movie. Look, the humor involved, while at times is over the top, at times it is sitcom in the best definition possible. Sitcom as in situational comedy. You have your characters, you have your cast of characters, and you put them into situations that make them act in certain ways. This movie is great for that. The characters herein act just as the characters herein would act, but the situations are such that it explores different pieces of those characters. The big one to me was when Loki had schmoozed his way to the top and Thor is in the arena and gets ragdolled and Loki cheers. That is so pitch perfect that it hurts. Number 7 coming to us from 2018 is Avengers Infinity War. If you have not seen this movie, earmuffs for 5 seconds. Hashtag the bad guy wins. Thanos is so marvelous in this movie. Thanos had been built up for for over half a decade. So 2012 to 2018, you're looking at 6 years. Thanos had been built up. He did not disappoint. That is so difficult to do. When there are movies that build up a character for 2 acts, when he is presented in the 3rd, it's a letdown. This character was built up for 6 years through several movies and was not a letdown. Thanos was just as cool in a different way than he is in the comics, which is very difficult to do. It is often said that Marvel has a weak lineup of villains. I beg to differ. They may have had a weak lineup in the MCU for a while. They're getting a lot of their good bad guys back. So keep an eye open for that. Number 6 from 2005, Batman Begins. I recently did a review for this movie on the channel. If you're a fan of this movie, go check that review out. It's nearly an hour, so there's a lot of stuff in there. Are you getting that from Campia? Are you getting that from Jeremy Johns? I didn't think so. This might be the perfect Batman movie. You see the escalation and the growth of the character of Bruce Wayne, of Batman, of the mask that is actually Bruce Wayne as opposed to Batman, which is the real person. There are so many things that are so perfect about this movie. I mentioned in the review, Starstream Live had called me out that I put The Dark Knight on a list of movies that I could always watch, but I did not put Batman Begins, and he says that he prefers Batman Begins. I have said that for years, and it skipped my mind. Batman Begins is a more Adrian movie. I really enjoy the character building that goes on in that movie. I really enjoy the escalation from he's the guy who gets himself locked in prison to beat people up to, hey, I'm going to go ahead and vigilante an entire city. Great movie. Go check out the review that I have on it's in my movie review playlist. If I do say so myself, I think it's worth it. Number 5, 2008's Iron Man. This movie was such a surprise to me. Such a surprise to me. I remember seeing all of the promotional material before the movie came out, and it looked like a bunch of guys sitting around drinking beer thinking, hey, you know what would be cool? X, Y, and Z. Yeah, X, Y, and Z would be cool. What if we did X, Y, and Z, but we sprinkled some Q on top? Hey, that sounds great. That's what it sounded like it was. And it turns out when the movie came out, that's exactly what it was. But it worked. So Favreau and Downey Jr. were a wonderful pairing for this movie. And I'm so glad it worked because it gave us the MCU. Like, next to Blade, this movie is what the current state of comic book movies has the most... the current state of comic book movies owes the most to Blade and Iron Man 1, as far as I'm concerned. Batman movies are always going to get made. They're always going to try their dice with Superman movies. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that you would be looking a threequel to Ant-Man Square in the Eyes? No. And you wouldn't have if Blade hadn't revolutionized things and Iron Man come along and been successful. Number 4, Captain America Winter Soldier from 2014. This movie, it's got to be top 5. In my top 5, it often changes position. I put it here simply because thinking about the original types of action in this movie, the action in this movie is so original and so good that it catapulted up the list. Plus, all of the charisma of the actors really comes through, and their dynamic between each other. Like, look at the relationships in this movie when you rewatch it. The next time you watch this movie, look at how characters interact with one another. It is so organic and so compelling. It is really finely done. Number 3, Avengers from 2012. This is the greatest comic book movie ever. It's the greatest comic book movie ever. Joss Whedon took something that was a nearly impossible task, and he pulled it off flawlessly. All of these characters have their own moments in the movie, which is almost impossible. Each character has their own beat. Each character had time to build their own personality, and each character plays a role in the larger action and larger drama of the piece. This is as finely woven as ever a comic book was, as ever there were a comic book to be. Number 2, The Dark Knight from 2008. At this point in the list, many people probably thought this was going to be number 1. This is the greatest movie about a comic book character ever. It's not my favorite. Number 2, The Avengers is the greatest movie, is the greatest comic book movie ever. The Dark Knight is the greatest movie ever about comic book characters. I don't know that there's anything left to be said about this film. Number 1 from 2017, Logan. No character, no comic book character has ever been captured as perfectly on the screen as is the character of Logan in this film. Magnificent. the ironies are brought to the screen straight from the page, straight from 40 years of Wolverine storytelling are these ironies wrought. So not only that, Wolverine is a character that has always been my favorite, and to see him done this well, always worth a rewatch. So that is my list of top 10, top 15, top 17, and movies that did not make the list. This has been the 12th episode of Ask Adrian Anything. If you have a question for the next episode of Ask Adrian Anything, be sure to drop it in the comments below. I'm starting to go low on questions, and I don't want to run out.